Chapter 8, Real Estate Taxes. In this chapter, we're going to talk about a lot of boring, exciting stuff. Yes.
No.
We're going to talk about the differences between the general real estate tax and the special assessment tax, which is an improvement tax, not for improvements you do to your house, but improvements that the municipality does. And they give you a special tax to pay for it and fund it. We're going to explain the taxation process and how that works as well. So, taxation, what is that? It is the power of the government to basically bill us to fund their operation. So, taxation is the power of the government to impose tax liens to fund the operation of government. And tax liens have priority over all other liens. Two things certain in life: death and taxes. We're all going to die, and we all got to pay our taxes while we're alive, and hell, even after you die. And if you live in a lucky state like New Jersey, they even have a nice death tax waiting for you too to tax your estate. So there's two types of taxes. We have the general real estate tax, which in Latin is referred to as ad valorem. Ad valorem is Latin for according to value, and that's how our properties are taxed. They're based on the value of the property, in part. They also have a tax rate that's used to manipulate that a little bit. And then we have the special assessment tax, which is an improvement tax. All right, so it's not for, once again, improvements that you do to your house. It's for improvements the municipality does around the area of your house. And only the homes in the area of those improvements will be charged this special assessment tax. They can pay it all at once or over time. So let's highlight annual taxes levied on real estate have priority over previously recorded liens. And the general real estate tax, or ad valorem tax, and underlined ad valorem, and special assessment or improvement tax. And then after we get that, we can turn the page. And then we'll be highlighting that term, the definition of ad valorem. Right here. Ad valorem is Latin for according to value, and ad valorem taxes are based on the value of the property that's being taxed, in part. Politicians can play with this a little bit by adjusting the tax rate to determine how much money that they need. If they need more money, they can adjust the rate. Now, states, counties, municipalities. New Jersey has 5 types. We got cities, towns, townships, boroughs, and villages. The schools, the school districts, and unions and public funded junior colleges and community colleges. They don't mention here places like Princeton as well. They still get taxpayer dollars for God knows what reason. They're an Ivy League college with a huge endowment, but yet they're still getting our taxpayer dollars. Our park districts, forest preserves, recreational districts, green space expansion programs to preserve open space and parkland, water, sanitary, drainage districts. They all get some of our tax dollars, our property tax dollars, to fund them. All right. Like this example here, a couple years back. Like, if you guys ever see anything, if you ever go in an election year, whether it's a local election or a presidential election, whatever the election is, primaries, a lot of times they'll put on the ballots these public option questions. You guys ever see those public option questions when you go to vote on the side? I'll tell you what, if you don't know all the intimate details about the issues that they're publishing there in those public option questions, always vote no.
Okay.
Because they could manipulate with the wording a bit, and they often do. And it's supposed to be agreed upon, the wording between the parties as to how they're going to word what it is that they're pushing on the ballots. But usually when they're pushing something on the ballots, those public option questions, unless you have the intimate knowledge about what it's all about, I'd say just vote no. Oftentimes they're just trying to get you to vote for a new tax, to create a new tax or raise a tax, or some silly legislation like cashless bail that allows criminals out into the public. You know, the day that they passed that in New Jersey, some lady got murdered by one of her stalkers in her own driveway. You know, that was that was one of them I told you so moments. In the meantime, they kept denying her a gun permit to protect herself. You know, that was special. So the Green Space Expansion and Preservation Program is one example, another example of this. It's a new tax that was passed, well, several years back already. It's not really new now, but this is a new tax that was created to preserve parkland and open space. The tax will be used to help the government buy land or other rights from other people's property, so that they won't develop. They'll promise not to further develop their land. This is how it was sold anyway to the taxpayers on the ballots and as on those public option questions on the side. Now, in some cases, they did build nice, beautiful parks there where they were made. In others, the land looks like what you'll see on the next slide. A couple of photo shots I took of a local area. And in others, money was just handed over to rich people who have all the buildings on their property built that they want to, and they don't plan on building anymore on their big estates. So the government just gave them a bunch of money to buy their rights away from them so that they can't build any further on. But if they do in the future want to build further on it, they got to pay the money back plus a bit of a penalty. But we're even seeing governments taking that money. You know, I know in Linden High School, the high school, the Votech school, they have this big empty parkland right next to it. They said, okay, well, let's use for ROTC and stuff like that. We're not gonna develop that. So they took a boatload of money. The city took a boatload of money for not agreeing not to further develop it. Now the school needs to expand. So they said we're going to need to now raise the funds to pay back the money and the penalty. Okay, where are they going to get the money to do that? So that they could then do their expansion of the school. Where are they going to get the money to pay back the money that they got for their agreeing not to build further? They got it from the taxpayer. That's where they're getting it from. All right, so what do they care? It's not their money, right? And another's money was just handed over to rich people, you know, not to further build up their property, purchasing their rights for further improvements. But usually it's already built up to the maximum it's going to be, and they have no further plans. So it's just it's a money giveaway. Now, when we voted to add this ad valorem tax there, which New Jersey did, you know, they said, "Ooh, preserving green space and not further develop." Yeah, so New Jersey people, they voted for that to create a new tax for this, and that new tax in the devils are in the details, which they obviously didn't spell out all the details on the ballot. They also now allow the politicians that if they need more money, they could just raise that tax. Here's an example of look, Edison preserved open space. This is part of that in Edison. Oh, such a lovely area covering up the lights and overgrowth. But hey, they're not building on it. Here's another picture of that in another time of the year. Yeah, so beautiful. Let's give you another angle. Look at that, all that garbage on the sides there. But hey, they're not building a house there. All right. So there are tax benefits and exemptions available for certain individuals in New Jersey. Seniors 65 and older who meet income requirements, and it's to their primary residence, not for investment properties, they can take annual deductions of up to $250 on their taxes. Veterans, honorably discharged ones, and their surviving unremarried spouses, for both real and personal property, can also take annual deductions of up to $250. Wow, so generous, New Jersey. Now, disabled veterans, they could get a total 100% tax exemption. And also fully disabled non-veterans as well, they could qualify for tax exemptions as too. Now, there's also a senior freeze program available out there where a senior, once they reach age 65 and older, and if their income is under a certain amount and it's their primary residence, they could claim the senior freeze, which will basically freeze their taxes at whatever they are now. And if the taxes go up, well, they will have to pay the higher tax, but the difference between the amount that they froze the tax at and what the taxes currently are, they'll get that difference back at the end of the year in a check that will be sent to them if the state has the money in the budget. If the state doesn't have the money in the budget, they'll send them they'll give them a credit towards next year's taxes. Either way, the senior will get the money back. It's amazing that they don't do public outreach and commercials to let the seniors know of these programs, that people's accountants don't tell them about it. Senior centers don't reach out to the seniors advising them of this stuff, especially in this highly taxed state, one of the highest, actually the highest tax state in the United States. So for seniors who are 65 years of age or older and certain disabled persons, for their primary residence only, not investment properties or vacation homes, and they live there for at least 3 years, they could qualify for this property tax freeze. It's actually called the PTR program. If you go down to the tax window there and try to get the application to apply for it, they'll tell you there's no such thing as a senior freeze program because they like screwing with people, I guess, instead of helping them out. They really know that what you're talking about is the PTR program, which is what it says on the booklet as the title, which stands for Property Tax Relief. Now, if the senior meets the income requirements and they're not over this amount, which was just raised this year to $150,000. So that's a very generous amount that was boosted up from, I think last year was like 90,000 or something. They jacked it up to $150,000 this year, so that seniors can take advantage of this benefit. Now this amount varies with the state budget annually, but the seniors, they could qualify for a freeze for any increase in their taxes. Okay, and I already explained. So if they freeze the taxes at $10,000 and they go up to $12,000 at the end of the year, the senior has to pay the $12,000, but at the end of the year, they'll get that $2,000 difference paid back to them. That's how the senior freeze program works. So if you guys know anybody 65 or older, their income is under 150 grand a year, reach out to them, let them know that they could get their taxes frozen. It's criminal that there is no public outreach to them, to these seniors that are on fixed budgets, often retired and such. All right. We also have other programs available. New Jersey Treasurer, you go to New Jersey Treasury website and see a little bit about those programs. So I have a link here for that. Oh. See what happened. Second. Opened up in a different window. So let's combine them. There we go. We have the New Jersey Treasury website, that the Division of Taxation, that if you go to their website here, oh, where did it disappear to? Disappeared off my screen. There you go. You guys can still see it though. Okay, so we have the Anchor program, the Senior Freeze program. Let's see, what is this? Stay NJ Property Tax Credit Program, deductions, exemptions, abatements, and the Homestead Benefit Program, that Homestead rebate, but it was replaced by Anchor program, something called the Anchor program. So you can see all these different things. What is Stay NJ about? This looks new. Here we go. July 2023, Governor Murphy authorized the creation of the Stay NJ Task Force charged with putting forth recommendations on how to Stay NJ property tax structure, consolidate various current property tax relief programs. I'm guessing this is trying to get people to stay in New Jersey and not abandon ship from the high tax state. Okay. So the purpose of the task force shall develop recommendations, establish funding uniformity property tax relief to all senior citizens and homeowners and tenants making under $500,000 a year. The task force shall review all of the existing property tax relief programs and present to the governor legislature no later than May 30, 2024. A report containing recommendations about how to restructure and consolidate the various property tax relief programs into one streamlined property tax relief program that would deliver to senior citizens having an annual gross income under $500,000, an annual property tax benefit for which the homeowner shall be in the amount of 50% of the property tax bill on their principal residence beginning in 2026. That would be pretty good for seniors.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing.
If you're making under $500,000 a year, they're going to cut your property tax in half. So in the amount of 50%. That sounds pretty good.
I think so.
About freaking time. 2026. I wonder if that's an election year. Politicians usually do that kind of crap in election years. All right. Well, that's a good thing, though. All right, let's see. So let's see. Request letter property tax relief ineligibility for out-of-state residents. Change your address on file. Okay, so there's all these different programs available. You could click on deductions, exemptions, abatements, and you could see that $250 property tax for deduction for seniors and disabled, for veterans, 100% exemption from property taxes for veterans and their unremarried surviving spouses. Let's see, active military service, property tax deferment, and all kinds of other tax breaks available in New Jersey. You can see them all here. All right. And this is from the tax relief website. Here, I'll share that with you guys in the chat window.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And let me also at this time, let me also open up the class links Word document, updated one, and add all these links to that so that I could keep adding all of the lessons, all the links that we come across in this document from the slideshow. Oh, what slide were we on? There we go. And then let's also add something in there about this new program. If I could squeeze it. Tax. So one thing that we could look at here in the slideshow is that there is a, let's see if you guys are watching the slideshow again. Okay. So we got that senior freeze program and the booklet. You could actually download it from the website now. You don't got to go down to City Hall to get it and then here's the actual booklet. And then there's a brochure of all the different tax breaks available to everybody in New Jersey. But it seems like they kind of screwed it up when they touched it last, and all they did is they pointed to the to that anchor program, or was it the senior freeze program? Let's see. Yeah, they still got it pointing to this replacement brochure that does not show all the different tax breaks. It only shows this for seniors, disabled, and surviving spouses, the $250 deduction. Income may be no more than $10,000 during the year for the deduction. Yeah, what a break. If you're 65 and older, permanent or totally disabled, or the unmarried spouse, 55 or older such person, you're a resident of New Jersey, and your income is under $10,000 a year, they'll give you a $250 deduction. They're so freaking generous. Okay. So while they expand some deductions and tax breaks, they get rid of others. It's a shame because this flyer that used to be at this link had all kinds of other tax breaks available for anybody in the state, whether they were seniors or farmland or building in urban enterprise zones and all kinds of other stuff. They had them all listed here. So let me see if they're on their website now. If we, let's see. Oh, you guys weren't looking at that flyer. I'm sorry. Yeah, but that flyer was pretty much a joke. So yeah, so the state programs for various things, like you have a property in a historic site in a historic district, you're building in urban enterprise zones or using renewable energy systems, non-resident development fee certification exemption, nonprofits, tax abatements for building in urban areas. Sometimes they incentivize this by, if you have new construction in certain areas, to incentivize that, they don't charge you tax for the improvements to the property, only for the land, or at a discounted rate. Let's see, for several years. Environmental enterprise zone programs, fire suppression systems. There used to be a lot more, actually. So they kind of like cut back on those tax break programs, or at least they're not showing them all here. Because they still do have them available for farmland and such. They just don't advertise them anymore. So I don't know where they hid them. That's what they're doing, basically. They're basically hiding them. They used to all be available in that one brochure, but if you actually look at that brochure now that's on our slide that I had the link to, we click on it, it actually takes us to this nonsense. They replaced it with a different brochure. This is the brochure they replaced it with. The $250 deduction for seniors if you make under $10,000 a year. Whatever nonsense, that's nonsense. What's this? Your local municipal tax assessor. Okay, at least we have now county assessors, last name. Okay, some other resources. Let's see, additional information, other forms. Let's see what that's about. Maybe we got some other discounts. No, it's not that. How about this? No, that's just their guidelines for this particular program. Okay. Oh, well, okay, so this link is pretty much useless. The tax assessors by county, I guess we could add that to our list here in our slideshow. Go back to our slideshow, boom, boom. You can see that. I got to go to a different window to edit it. All right, so tax rates for municipality. Well, that link is unavailable, but we could at least have the tax assessors listed by municipality. I guess we get that information. The brochure of tax breaks is pretty much nonsense now. But they do have that new thing that they call the, what do they call it? New Jersey Stay program. That proposed legislation. So
I heard about that. What is
yeah,
that?
let's take a look. So that's that one where they're going to combine all the different senior programs available and then make it so if you're making under $500,000 a year as a senior, your taxes will be cut. Your property tax would be 50% of the property tax bill on your principal residence. Okay, starting 2026. So I'll definitely show that to my mother, although I know her response is going to be if I'm still around.
There you go. That's what they say.
That's what seniors always do, right? If I'm still alive.
Yeah, right. If I'm still alive.
All right.
You'll see it before I do.
Yeah. Your experience with this, I guess, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. So there's an update to that senior freeze details, the booklet, and here I'll see if I could squeeze it on the slide yet. The NJ Stay program. Okay, so this is that proposed program. Sorry, I'm spending a little time on this, but I want you guys to be able to get these benefits here.
No problem.
Proposal for seniors to cut tax bill in half. I guess you could go to the actual page to see the how that proposal works. So I don't put any additional information on that, and make sure that we get that all covered here. So shape, bill, background. All right, now we just got to get all this to fit on the one slide. It's getting tougher. I keep putting more information here. Okay, here, what we could do is we could maybe cut down on the font size slightly. It's already 18, that's tough. There you go, 16. Okay, that makes it work.
Perfect.
Okay. Boom, boom. Dun, dun, dun. And there we go. All right, good. You see that all now? Awesome.
Perfecto.
And let me copy all these links now, these updated links, and add that to the class links Word document before we move on. There we go. Okay, so these are those senior programs that are available, or programs that are available. And $150,000, that's nothing to sneeze at. So right now they raised the income to $150,000, where a senior can get their taxes frozen. Although we see that they're going to raise that to $500,000 to be able to not just give them a break on the difference, but to cut the taxes in half. Now, that'll be fine as long as they don't jack up the taxes by extraordinary amounts. Who knows with New Jersey, right? So let's highlight this in the book on page 134 about the senior freeze program and that $250 deduction. And renters, if you're a renter and you don't own, renters could also qualify for these deductions. Up to 18% of their rent is estimated the landlord's using for paying property taxes, so that the renter can deduct that on their taxes as well. Even the book shows you this one link that I took you to that now just shows you to a senior benefit if the senior is only making less than $10,000 a year. I don't know what that brochure is about, but this brochure used to have a list of all the different benefits that are available in the state, but it no longer does. Let me know when you guys got those highlights.
I'm good.
All right.
Yep, same here.
Now, farmland is another issue. We're the Garden State, so we have a lot of farmland here. And if farmers were subjected to pay the same tax rates as everybody else who has a house in New Jersey, you wouldn't be able to have a farm. You couldn't afford it. The farmer doesn't make that much money at the farming level. So to encourage preservation of open spaces, the state allows different assessment rates for farmland. The preferential treatment's available only for genuine agricultural property, which must meet the following requirements. It has to have at least 5 acres of land exclusive to the home site. It has to earn at least $500 a year in gross sales for those first 5 acres. It has to have been actively used as farmland for at least 2 years before they file for that preferential treatment, that tax break. So that's what's needed in order to be considered genuine farmland, to get the tax break as a farmer. And then the farmers will get a 98% tax deduction. And that's good. Farmers need that for all that land that they have. However, let's take a look at what's considered a farm again. You have to have at least 5 acres of land in addition to the home site. And you need to earn at least $500 a year in gross sales. What kind of freaking legitimate farm is only grossing $500 a year in sales? The water bill comes up to more than that. The seed bill, I mean, what kind of legitimate farm? That sounds to me like a built-in loophole. What do you think? Well, you know what? This actually became a big issue. And so the state of New Jersey actually raised that $500 amount to $1,000. They said, "Oh, we got this under control. That is kind of low." So they increased it to $1,000, which is still incredibly low. That should be like at least $500,000, And then if you're not grossing at least $500,000 in sales each year, I mean, legitimate farms, all that equipment, the gasoline, the crops, or if they're maintaining animals, I mean, it's going to come out to, they're going to need to earn more than $500 or $1,000 a year. I mean, what about the salaries of people? This is nonsense. This is a loophole that was built in, and even when they increased it to $1,000, but we have to study $500. Don't raise that to $1,000 in the book, because $500 a year still applies to wetlands and woodlands, okay? And for the exams, we got to go with that lower amount, okay? Because remember, for exams, whenever there's an exception to the rule, you follow the exception rather than the rule. So you have to have at least 5 acres of land exclusive to the home site and gross $500 a year and used it for farmland for at least 2 years before you could get the tax break of only paying with a 98% tax break. Now, most properties used for religious, charitable, and other non-for-profit uses, they're totally exempt from property taxes. Highlight that. And then put a box around this last paragraph here on page 135, where you see that says, the real estate broker must be alert for the possibility of such exemptions. Why? Because what we got to do is we have to advertise the actual tax figure that any potential buyer will be paying, not any discounted rate that the current owner is paying. We got to let the public know what they have to pay in taxes if they buy this house, not what a discounted rate a senior or veteran or disabled person's paying, right? Now let me know when you guys got all these highlights.
I got it. You're good
I
to
got
go.
it. Yeah, good here.
Okay. So farmland, you got to have 5 acres, not counting the area that the house is sitting on. The additional land has to equal at least 5 acres. And then farmers can take 98% annual deductions on their property taxes. Wow, that's a huge deduction. A PT benefits brochure. Let's see, once again, yeah, that points to that senior thing and not the actual taxes all over. So that's a BS link now. All right. So this has nothing to do with that farmland anymore. This brochure used to have a link to all the different tax programs, but it just points to the one for the seniors now. So unless they fix that, I'm gonna leave that up there temporarily for now, but right now, just know that has nothing about the farmland on it anymore. Okay, so check this out. You want to be mad? You want to see how the politicians built in these tax loopholes under the guise of them being just breaks for farmers? The head of the New Jersey Transit, he has a salary of $280,000 a year. He only paid $19.42 for property taxes on his home in Mendham because he said that he has 2 sheep. Anybody here actually believe the head of New Jersey Transit's a farmer?
No.
And he needs that 98% property tax break on his property because he has 2 sheep? Come on. What do you think? He's shearing the sheep and selling all that wool? So this is just goes to show you that it's a loophole that they use to take advantage of, so that these people who tell you to pay your fair share, how they never pay theirs.
Right.
I mean, the poorest person in this class, how much are you paying on your property taxes? You know, I'm sure it's more than $19.42 a year. You know, so look, even the former governor, Christine Todd Whitman, she came under fire during her tenure as governor when she paid next to nothing on her property taxes for her 2 estates in New Jersey because she claimed she sold firewood. She chops down trees. Yeah, can you picture her out there chopping down trees to sell firewood so that she pays next to nothing on her property taxes? No. She probably just claims that she sells the firewood to her friends and doesn't even sell it and just says, oh, I'll pay the income tax on it. And it's next to nothing anyway. And then I pay next to nothing property taxes on my estates, my mansions. Same thing. Look, it's across party lines. Ellen Karcher, a Democrat. So Christine Todd Whitman, she was a Republican. This one's a Democrat. She sells about a half a dozen Christmas trees a year and pays nothing on her property taxes. Bruce Springsteen, you know, one of these guys that champions the farmers, you know, and says we need more tax breaks. Not only we need tax breaks, we need money given to farmers to help them run their farms. One thing he didn't let out of the bag there, though, is that he has his property registered as a farm. So even though he does pay $138,000 a year for 3 acres of land in Colts Neck, just shows you how much the taxes are in Colts Neck, he has an additional 200 acres attached to that property that he claims as farmland, so that he doesn't have to pay Imagine what the taxes would be for 200 more acres. If for 3 acres, he's paying 138,000 in that area. He has 200 more acres of land in that area, but he pays next to nothing on there because he pays some part-time farmer to grow a few organic tomatoes. And then he pays for the additional 200 acres, $4,600 a year in taxes. Same thing with Bon Jovi, which I think that he picked up and finally hightailed it out of New Jersey, went to California. But he too, along with Bruce Springsteen, both of them were together there fighting for the farmer. But Bruce Springsteen, he has that Navesink Road mansion that has its own name called the High Point Estate, worth $20 million. He only paid $104 in property taxes because he claimed that he raises honeybees. You see John Bon Jovi out there selling honey?
My goodness.
That's so wrong. Just,
$4? That's
Are
crazy.
you pissed yet?
it is.
Well, I
It
want
is
to grow.
great.
What,
Me too.
what was that? What did she say?
I want to grow honey. I
Yep.
want a honey farm.
Yeah. I'll do
Well,
it.
I know I got a friend. He's a fireman. He was building his own house. He bought a big piece of land, a couple of acres of land in Old Bridge, I think it was, and it was like down the road from where Raceway Park is. And before they started building up that area, because they got all kinds of townhouses and condos and all kinds of stuff in that area now. But previously there was nothing there, so it was just woodlands. And he bought a couple of acres of land there, and he was slowly building his own house. With his money, as he got more money, he was slowly building the house. Well, his bowling team ended up hitting like a pick six lottery jackpot, and so I guess they split it all up. So I mean, he got himself a decent chunk of change, but he's not super rich or anything. But he was able to finish his house project a lot quicker. So now he's got a house over there, but he pays next to nothing in property taxes because he does the same thing. He put up a couple of honeybee stands at the far ends of his property and claims that he raises honeybees, so he pays next to nothing on his property taxes. You see, so you don't have to be rich to take advantage of these things, though. As long as you have at least 5 acres of land exclusive to the home site, you could claim it as farmland. So these politicians built in these loopholes for themselves. Now the only thing to us is to be able to get enough money to afford to buy 5 acres.
Yeah.
Right.
in a densely populated state of New Jersey.
Yeah.
All right. Now, so these abuses came about and came to be known when John Bon Jovi and Bruce Springsteen were holding concerts called Farm Aid. And then they were trying to push for, subsidies, additional subsidies for farmers for the government to give farmers money. And then it came about that they found out that they claimed their own properties as farms. So it became a big outrage, and politicians were debating, we're going to fix this problem, and their solution was to end up just making it $1,000 a year, the gross income that you had to earn to be considered a farm, a legitimate farm. Now, Jeff Tittle, the director of the Sierra Club, that's an environmentalist group, the Sierra's Club's New Jersey chapter called the $1,000 figure sham reform, and said that the minimum should have been increased to $10,000 or a little less, which that's ridiculous. I think it should be at least $500,000. What legitimate farm is not grossing in sales at least $500,000 a year? If you are, you should have to be required to fill out a form explaining why you should be considered a legitimate farm and qualify for the tax break under perjury laws, so that this would get rid of a lot of these fake farmers.
Yeah.
It says we could do a lot more for the legitimate farmers if we weren't giving so much away to the fake farmers. That's a very true statement. But even even his suggestion of $10,000 is ridiculous. It should be a high amount, like $500,000 or $1 million even, that a farmer needs to gross in sales a year. And if that farm is making less than that amount, they should have to be able to fill out an affidavit under penalty of perjury stating why they should be considered a genuine farm. Now, genuine farmers would have nothing to hide, but the fake farmers would. So we could always go after them in that instance. But they're not going to do nothing like that because a lot of politicians and celebrities take advantage of this stuff here in New Jersey. So after that spokesman for those part-time fake farmers pleaded to keep the minimum at only $1,000 after reviewing an old study in 2008 by Rutgers Agricultural Experiment Station there in New Brunswick, that found that if the minimum were raised to $10,000, the state would lose about 39.3% of their farmland. Oh, so they just gave us an exact figure of how many fake farms there are. 39.3% of the farms in New Jersey are these fake farmers
Oh,
because they don't gross at least $10,000 a year. I mean, if that's your business and you're a legit farmer, $10,000 a year is ridiculous to gross. That doesn't even pay one person's salary, let alone bills, you know?
right.
I don't know about you. Every time I look at this, this pisses me off beyond belief.
Yeah, it was just me. This is why they say good country, America, right?
These are our New Jersey politicians. This is right here at home. This is right here in
Yeah.
New Jersey. Our politicians are keeping this up. Now, religious charities, nonprofits, disabled persons, disabled veterans, and their surviving unmarried spouses are entitled to 100% property tax exemption. They pay 0 property tax. Okay, that's fine. Religious, charitable, nonprofits, disabled veterans, and disabled non-veterans. Now, which is pretty interesting, but that's if they own the house and it's their primary residence. Because I found some things interesting. There's a story in Rahway a couple of years ago. This guy built this giant house because he has 2 disabled children that are wheelchair bound, 2 of them, and they couldn't. He had 2 kids in wheelchairs. They can't go in opposite directions in the hallway because the wheelchairs won't fit. So he built a larger house so that they could, so when he's not around, they'll inherit it and that they could live in that house and they could get by and everything. He made it all handicap accessible for his children, planning for the day that he's not around anymore. And then after the construction was done on this new home, the city gave him his tax bill, and his tax bill for Rahway was something like $45,000 a year in property taxes.
Oh,
Now he built this house specifically to be handicap accessible, but I guess because it's larger square footage now, you got wider hallways and all that, the square footage it's tax based on. But it's handicap accessible is supposed to be about for the children because they're handicapped. However, he's the owner of the house and he's not handicapped, so therefore he doesn't qualify for any of that disabled person's deduction. They don't even take it into consideration. Yet they got loopholes for the fake farmers to pay nothing,
But if it was his wife, if it was his spouse, he would qualify?
If she was part owner, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so the special assessment is a property tax. It's a property tax to fund the payment for the improvements in a municipality that a municipality makes, not for improvements that the homeowner does on their house, but for like if they wanted to build a new little park around your area in your neighborhood, for as an example, how do they pay for that? Well, they may create this special assessment tax and then just tax all the homeowners that live in that general area there in that neighborhood that'll enjoy that park so that they pay for it. And when that tax is paid off, that tax goes away. Okay? They
Okay.
got these special assessment, these improvement taxes that are like that. Condominium complexes have the same kind of thing. I suggested it the other day where they would maybe they want to redo the sidewalks, the siding, put in new storm doors and windows, replace the roofs. So they're going to issue each homeowner there in the condo complex a $10,000 special assessment that they have to pay an additional $10,000. They could do it either all at one shot or they could finance it over a period of years. But that would be a special assessment. See, condominium complexes can do the same thing.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right, so you guys got this highlighted and you wrote this note here, improvements done by the municipality, not the homeowner or not the owner?
Need 2 more seconds.
Sure, sure.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, and then we have the assessed value. Assessed value is a value that's used for taxation purposes. It's not like market value. We're going to be learning about all kinds of value. Market value, assessed value, assessed value is a value that the tax man uses to determine how much you're going to pay in property taxes. You basically have to do some reverse engineering of the math in order to figure out what the actual market value of a property that the tax man is guesstimating that your house is worth that they're taxing. So, like, if you get your tax bill and you just look at the assessed value, you're going to be like, wow, my house is worth way more than that. I better keep my mouth shut because otherwise my taxes are going to go up. Because you think that that's the value that they're using to determine your taxes. And it is. But how do they come to the assessed value? The assessed value is way different than market value. In reality, some properties have been assessed for their value at 15% of their market value, as little as 15% of their market value, to as much as 150% in other areas. So you just got to try to do the reverse engineering of the math to see what figure that the tax man is estimating your property's value to be, to see if they're overtaxing you. So the assessed value is a value used for taxation purposes, and it does not reflect the actual market value. Value is 100%. Value means 100%. Anytime we're talking about value, we're talking about all of it. So we're talking about 100%. So you could just say value equals 100%. That would be the market value. Now, the formula to reverse engineer the tax man's math to figure out what the real market value is that they're estimating your property value, that they're basing your property value on, because when they show the assessed value, that has no reflection on actual market value. To figure out what market value that is, you would take the assessed value and divide it by the tax ratio, which you'd need to find out from your municipality, if they don't put it on a tax bill, and they probably won't. And then you multiply that by 100, and then that'll give you the actual market value that the tax man is basing your taxes on. So they came up with this other nonsense value here so that you could, I guess, so that most people can't really argue whether they're being overtaxed or not, because they just see that figure and it's usually way lower than what the actual value is. And so they're just like, I better keep my mouth shut and my taxes going up because my house is worth more than that, So let's just highlight here. Assessed value is what the year's taxes are based on. And New Jersey has a goal of full value assessment, almost impossible to attain. Because in order to figure out what the actual taxes are on people's properties every year, they would need to send an appraiser in your house every year. Now, let me ask you, has anybody here ever had the city, not when you bought the house and the bank sends an appraiser, but the city send an appraiser to your house?
No.
No.
Very
Oh.
few people actually get an appraiser that's sent by the city to their home. Well, then how do they revalue your taxes every year and they always go up? Ever wonder that?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, the city does send out appraisers, but they send them out to a small sampling of houses in your area, in your neighborhood. And they do a sampling of appraisals on those few homes. And then they do a blanket assessment on the rest of the homes in the area based on that sampling. Now, if that sampling of homes that they did appraisals on were all remodeled and updated and such, well, then now they're estimating that the value of these remodeled and updated houses, they're basing all the homes in the neighborhood based on that value. And your home may not have been remodeled and updated and such. So then you may be getting overtaxed. So the only way to figure this out is you'd have to try to do a tax appeal. Okay. So what is New Jersey's goal when assessing property values for taxation purposes? The answer is full value assessment. Now, does New Jersey assess all properties exactly at market value? No, that's their goal. But it says right here, almost impossible to attain because they would need to get an appraiser in your house every year. So you need to understand that for an exam question. What is New Jersey's goal? Full value assessment. But does New Jersey tax properties at their full value? No, that'd be next to impossible to do. Unless they sent an appraiser into everybody's house every year. And a rateable is what we call a taxable property. And a list of all of the ratables in the town is called an assessment roll. So the politicians can see what the budget is of the town just by adding up the property taxes of all the homes that are taxable in the town. And they add up the right column where the tax figure is, because they know the taxes need to be paid. So that's guaranteed money that they're going to get every year, on top of all the other tickets and fines and permitting and all that stuff, other ways that they get money. They're guaranteed the money from taxes, right? So there we go. That's the assessment roll. So a rateable is a taxable property, and a list of all the ratables is an assessment roll. And if you feel like that you're being overtaxed, you could let's see, you can see that here's a link to the a tax assessment guide on how to appeal the tax assessment.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
I'm taking my notes, and you said the list of all the rateable. What did you say? List of all rateable.
Yeah. A
What is that
A
called?
rateable is a taxable property. A list, okay, you see down here, a list of all ratables is an assessment roll.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Wait, let me just snap this real quick. A little slow today. Okay. Excuse me.
Sure. Yes, LPT. Okay, so it looks like that link no longer works either. Okay, so I did find a link though for tax appeals. So I'll share that with you guys. This is the appeal my property taxes handbook for that. Let me see what the link is there. Assessor handbook, tax board handbook, guide to tax PT appeal. Okay, that's where it's located now. Treasury taxation PDF, LPT PT appeal. Okay, so they changed the link to it. Okay, a guide to tax appeal hearings and how property PT assessment. Well, actually, this is the link that I went to. All right, so this is the guide for the tax appeals. How property tax is valued for taxation purposes. See if they give you the formulas. I know I do in my slides. All right. Either way, what we'll do is I'll share this link that has all those links on it. Put that in the slideshow. How about that? How about them apples? Okay, so I'm gonna list it as a tax appeal guide, tax appeal guide in that class links Word document. Guide info page, I'll call it that. So now we're building up our tax breaks. I got all of these things listed here. In our Word class links Word document. All right. All right. All right. All right. Back to the slideshow. All right. So I know this link does not work anymore. So what we can do is we could just put that that latest link that I just put there on the class links Word document there. We'll add that one to the slideshow. And so you guys will have all the latest, greatest, and info available. And right here, insert text. Bum, bum, bum. No. Yes. Will you fit? Will you fit? And so this. Yeah. All right, and now we could also try to erase that link because that link do not work anymore. Add that up there. Yep, got it. And we'll erase this line. Here we go. All right, so that's how we'll rig it to work. So now this slideshow actually has the actual link here, the proper link on it. But I added that link also now to the class links Word document, the new one that I'm creating here. So you guys will have all these tax break links available to you as well. All right. And by the way, I updated all these slides as we're updating them every day. I'm updating them in the shared Google Drive. And I also updated the your videos for your classes. So let me show you guys. So this is your class playlist. So I got all the videos in there now.
Oh
for all
yeah,
the
I was watching it.
chapters.
Yeah,
that
I
we've
saw
gone
that
through
last
so
week.
far. Okay. So when you just click on that one link, it'll get you all of those videos. Okay. All right. So equalization factor is because we have some richer counties and poorer counties throughout the state. An equalization factor is a way to make sure that all municipalities are paying their fair share and some are not paying more than others. So an equalization factor is a factor that can be applied to the assessed value to make sure everybody's paying their share appropriately. So let's highlight on page 136, the assessed value of each property in the area is multiplied by the equalization factor, and the tax rate is then applied to the equalized assessment value. So then this way your tax can be adjusted up or down accordingly. Now, the equalization factor, if you're going to factor that in, if you get a math problem that gives you the equalization factor, you have to add that in first. So you take the equalization factor and times it by the assessed value that's given, and that will give you the equalized assessed value. And then you multiply that by any tax rate, and that will show you what the property taxes are that that property owner will be paying. Now, if no equalization factor is given in the problem, then you just take the assessed value times the tax rate, and that tells you how much the property owner will be paying in property taxes. A mill or a mill rate, that's how they calculate the taxes. They use these mill rates. You need to know what a mill is. It's 1/1000th of a dollar or a tenth of a cent. We're going to highlight that somewhere in just a moment. But here's where you would have highlighted the assessment roll in the book. Finally, they get to that. It's all disjointed and far away from where the rateable is listed. But page 136, real estate taxes located within a jurisdiction of a taxing body are called an assessment roll. So a mill on page 137, this is where we'll highlight this, page 137, a mill at the top of the page, 137. A mill is 1/1000th of a dollar or a tenth of a cent. So it's basically 3 decimal points. So tax rates may be stated in a number of different ways. In many areas, they're expressed in mills. So it could be 30 mills per dollar of assessed value, $3 per every $100 of assessed value, or $30 per every $1,000 of assessed value. New Jersey typically expresses taxes per $100 of value, but it depends on how they word the question on your exams, if they give you a math problem based on this. But you always get a mill on a state exam for some reason. What is a mill? It's a way of calculating taxes. It's 1/1000th of a dollar or a tenth of a cent. So here's a slide I put together for you. You may want to snap a picture of this one.
Yep.
So the assessed value is the value used for tax purposes, not the actual, it does not express the actual property tax value, which is called market value. Now, to reverse engineer what the market value the taxes are based on, take the assessed value, divide it by the tax ratio, and times it by 100. And this will give you the market value that's used by the tax man. New Jersey's goal when assessing property values for taxation is full value assessment. That means at 100% of the market value, almost impossible to attain. So in reality, properties have been assessed as low as 15% of their market value and as high as 150% in other areas. So the tax assessor, however, they're allowed a 15% margin of error. So they could overtax you by, as long as they're not over 15% in their overtaxing of your property, it's okay. Your taxes won't get adjusted. They're allowed that margin of error by 15%. Now, check this out. You know that when you appeal your property taxes, you could only appeal the value of the improvement, not the value of the land. Because as a general rule, land does not depreciate. And rateable is a taxable property, and assessment rolls a list of all the ratables in the municipality. Okay, here's how to file a tax appeal. Let me make sure that these links are still working. Okay, that link works. Here's the tax appeal guide. Let me make sure that that works. And that works too. So that takes you here to the New Jersey Tax Appeal Guide that teaches you how to step by step. It shows you the formulas and how to do the math on it, how to do the calculations. Depending what county you're in, like I live in Union County. Union County makes it real easy. You could calculate it and find the comps and do everything through their online system to file a tax appeal. It's also helpful if you have access to the MLS and you can look at the properties, make sure they're legit comparables too. Then you pull out the cheapest ones to try to win a tax appeal. So
I have to find out mine. Somerset County, I'm not sure.
Well, on the class links Word document, hold on a second. I put here, see tax rates
Okay,
for
yeah.
each municipality in New Jersey. Okay, that's not actually the tax rates. I wish it was. Hold on a second. We don't have that info. So I'm going to change that name here. Tax assessors in for each county, for each municipality. Each count, no, this is for each county. So here's a link that takes you to the tax assessors. Show you all the tax assessors in New Jersey. Let me see. If we go to the website, let me see. Just make sure that that link works and what exactly it does. Tax assessors hours by county. So it gives you the link to each county's tax assessor's office. So here you go. I'll share that with you in the chat window.
Okay.
But this Word document will be in the shared Google Drive here. Let me just make sure it's there right now. If we go there, you see I got it in there now. Let me just delete it from there and I'll update it with the latest and greatest one that's on our desktop right now that I just been updating. Okay. So let me go there. Minimize that. Minimize that. Oh, gotta minimize that. So many windows open. Where is that? Where is that class? Oh, here it is. I'm just moving to the other side of my desktop. Okay, so boom. All right, so now the new class links file is right here, okay? Here's the older one, here's the newer one that I've been updating. Okay. So the equalization factor, if given, you're going to calculate that in first. So you take the equalization factor times the assessed value. If there was no equalization factor, you just take the assessed value, okay? In order to figure out what the taxes are, okay? So the equalization factor times the assessed value equals the equalized assessed value, times that by the tax rate, and it'll tell you what the taxes are. Now, if no equalization factor is given, you take the assessed value times the tax rate to figure out the taxes. Now, a mil is 1/1000th of a dollar or 1/10 of a cent. It's basically 3 decimal points if you're given a math problem. Tax bills are billed quarterly to property owners. Every 3 months, you get a tax bill. And if you don't pay your taxes, they could become a lien on your property. Now, December 31st, if you don't pay your taxes by the end of the year, you're going to get notifications that, you know, you're late on your taxes and you're going to start incurring late fees and penalties. At the end of the year, December 31st, plus 6 months go by and you still didn't pay your taxes for the previous year. You're halfway through the next year already. The tax assessor will order a tax foreclosure sale.
Oh,
Now, basically, what is a tax foreclosure sale? It's a sale where investors will go to the municipality. Every municipality has these. Some of them have it at a courthouse or on the courthouse steps. Some of them have them indoors. Some of them have it at a library. Some of them have them online, where it's an auction where investors will go there and bid and offer to pay your taxes for you. So say I go there, you didn't pay your property taxes, you owed $8,000 on property taxes. So I go there and I say, I want to pay her taxes. I want to pay her $8,000 taxes. If I'm the only one that bids, then I get it. I win. And what do I win? I win the opportunity to pay $8,000 of your property taxes. So what do I get in return? I get a certificate that says that I paid your property taxes $8,000. And since I was the only bidder, I get it at 18% interest rate. So the property owner has to pay me back that $8,000 plus 18% interest within 2 years. If they don't pay me back that money plus interest within 2 years, I can foreclose on them as if I was the municipality who was not paid the property taxes. And I get your property free and clear. So even if you had a first mortgage still outstanding on your property, that mortgage gets wiped out and I get that property free and clear for $8,000. This is why if your lender finds out about it, they'll step in and they'll pay that taxes plus that 18% so that their interests are not wiped out. But they don't always find out about it. So sometimes even the lenders lose their properties. That's their collateral for the loan that they gave you. So you have a $400,000 loan outstanding on a house still, and I paid $8,000 in property taxes. The lender never found out that you were behind on the taxes, so they didn't step in and pay it. So I get that property free and clear for $8,000 without any mortgage on it or anything. It wipes out all liens, because what comes first in the lien repayment order? Taxes. And I paid the taxes. So I come first. It's a pretty good way to invest in real estate without having a whole boatload of money to invest in real estate. I mean, how much your bank account's paying you these days? Average bank account out there is paying what, maybe 0.1% if you're lucky. Right? So How about instead of keeping your money sitting in a bank account, instead you pay somebody's property taxes. If you're the only bidder on it, you get it at 18%. Now, what if you're not the only bidder at this auction? If somebody else also wants to pay the taxes, that $8,000. Well, if I bid first, and then somebody else comes in and they say, well, I want to pay their property taxes too. I'm going to bid 17%. You're bidding on not how much you're paying. You have to pay the full amount of outstanding taxes. You're bidding on the interest rate you're going to charge the property owner to pay you back. It starts at 18% and goes down. Whoever charges the property owner the least amount of interest will win that auction. Now, they don't get the property. The winner at the auction does not get the property. They just get a certificate that says that you pay the taxes. This person owes you this money back plus interest by this date. Otherwise, you could use that certificate to foreclose on them. So they're banking on foreclosing on you. That's where the big payday is. But if that doesn't happen and you're able to pay back the money plus interest, well, I'm still earning a lot more interest than the banks are paying these days. Right? Even though I told you guys earlier, I think on the first day of this class, I found a bank that pays some pretty good interest, a high yield interest. They're based in Florida, so it's kind of virtual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everbank, they were pretty good. Okay. Now let's see. Tax liens are specific liens. They only affect that one property that's being taxed. They don't affect any other property that you have. And by the way, if you're ever foreclosed on due to non-payment of taxes, it does not affect your credit score. Now, if you don't pay your mortgage bill, that destroys your credit score, your mortgage lien, right? Your loan, that'll screw up your credit score, but not taxes. The municipalities don't report to your credit reporting agencies. All right, so I put together here's a tiny URL that I put together that'll give you access to a tax record system before you become a member of any MLS. So every MLS that you guys are going to be a member of has a tax search and tax database system that you could use. But right now, you guys aren't a member of any MLS. So this one you could get access to right now. It's open to the public. So, but I created a shortcut link because the link is very long to get to it. And they kind of hid it and buried it. And I know a little programming, so I was able to discover what the actual link is. So if you click on that, it takes you here. This is the Monmouth County tax search system. However, it has access to about 17 of the 21 counties here. So you could search tax records of about 17 of them there. Oh, by the way, here's that link to all the New Jersey tax boards as well. Let me add these things to our class links Word document. Okay. We have the
Somerset. Okay.
System. And then we also have a link to all 17 of these tax. Okay, these aren't all the tax boards. These are just the tax boards that are included in this search engine that I just gave you access to. Okay, so most, not all, tax. So yeah, you're in Somerset. Yeah, you can just go there and you can find out how to do a tax appeal or do a tax search there. Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, what is this? Takes you to Google. Yeah. Well, anyway, if you were to do the, what did I do? If you click on this, it takes you here. You click on here, You could search, you want to search on one of your neighbor's properties or something?
Mhm.
And we could put in Somerset County. What town you in?
North Plainfield.
North Plainfield. You want to search a neighbor's property or something? The way that you use this search system is you don't need the full address. You could put partial. You could even put names or partial names or lot and block numbers. The least amount of info you put in, the more search results you get back. Because if you don't type things in, it's not a wise search engine like Google would be. You have to type things in exactly as they're in the database. Like if you're going to put in like the name of the road that the property's on, don't type road or street or circle because you know
Oh.
tax records are abbreviated, so you'd have to put it in exactly as it's abbreviated, or you could just leave that out altogether. Like, do you got a street name maybe or
Yeah,
an
Jeffrey's Place.
okay? So if we just put in
So we
Jeff-
wouldn't put place, right?
Jeffrey, is it Jeffries or Jeffrey or is it
Jeffries.
yes? Okay, so we can just put in Jeffries. We're not even putting in an address there. We're
Right.
not even going to write in place. So so if there's a Jeffrey's Place, Jeffrey Road, Jeffrey whatever, we're going to come back with a lot of search results. But nope, did I misspell something? Hold on.
No.
Somerset, North Plainfield, Jeffries.
Ries. Yep.
Why is nothing coming back? Jeffries.
Yes.
Jeffries. You sure it's Jeffries like that, not just Jeffrey?
No, because we got that straight when we first moved here. We kept playing Jeffrey, and then of course Jeffri.
So check this out. I don't know the exact spelling, so I'm just going to put in Jeff.
Yeah, but
Boom.
ooh, but you see it's Jeff.
Jefffer. Not I put Jeffr. Okay, so it's Jeffferie. So you see, even if you're well, I was misspelling it to begin with. So okay. But so now we're getting all this stuff back for Jeffrey's Place, Jeffrey's Avenue, Jefferson.
Oh,
Okay,
God.
so I could back it up and now just see because I knew I put in I'm misspelling Jeffers. There we go. So now we found everything on Jeffrey's Place. Okay.
Whoa.
So now you can see all the properties there. If you want me to click on somebody's, you want me to click on one of these?
Oh my God, there's my name right there, Gladys.
Okay, well, who do you want me to click on? You want me to click on you? You want me to
So
click on
that's
somebody
the
else?
Where
Well,
am I?
find out.
Oh, we're right here. Yvonne and Luther. Look at me. I'm like, oh my God.
You want me to click on yours or your neighbor's?
Yeah, why not? I don't care. Yeah.
Okay, so you're
my
on
goodness.
Luther. You
Yep.
click on that, and we can find out that you bought the property in 1999.
Yep.
You paid $180,000 for the house. Your property taxes are $11,472.
Yeah.
Your lot size is 75 by 100. The house was built in 1961, approximately 2,052 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you live at that house, so you're not an absentee owner. So we know that you're living in that house, and that's not an investment property.
No.
Your
wow.
land is estimated at $80,000 value. The improvement $190,000. So the total value $270,000 is the assessed value.
Mm.
Now you have a ratio here. Tax rates are used to determine the taxes on the property. Tax ratios
Mm-hmm.
you could use to reverse engineer the value that the tax man is using. And usually they don't have these all in the tax records, but you got it right here. So let's see. It says here that you bought it for $180,000. But let's see based on the tax ratio, let's see what the value was in 1999 if the tax ratio is 91.39.
When
We could do-
we're done here, can we check out mine?
Sure.
I love this. I love it.
$180,000.
I feel like a celebrity. No. Wow.
So we could take $180,000, divide it by 91.39. Oop, that's wrong. What did I do here? $180,000. Yeah, times, nope, that's not right. It's division. It is division. Hold on a second. Let me go back to my thing. I think it is division here. So to reverse engineer the math, what do we do?
Oh, the mill.
Let's see, appealing the tax value to reverse engineer. Take the assessed value, divide it by the tax ratio, times it by 100. Okay, so let's do that. So you
Okay.
take the assessed value of $180,000 divided by the ratio of 91.39. Oh, I didn't hit the percent key. That's what happened there. I knew something was wrong when I saw the number. 91.39%. And then we times that by 100. Okay. That number still seems way the hell off. What's wrong here? What am I doing wrong? That's the assessed. Oh, wait, no, that's the purchase price. That's not the assessed value. But either way, 91. This mean $180,000 times 91.9%. That gives 164,000. Times 100. Something ain't right there because I'm coming up with your property being $16 million and that ain't
Oh,
right.
I'll take it.
Okay, hold on a second. So what am I doing wrong? I'm doing something wrong here. So the assessed value divided by the tax ratio. Oh, you know what? I think
Right.
I multiplied it. $80,000 divided by 91.39. That's $1,969 times it by 100. There we go. It's 100. Okay, that's right. It's $196,000, $958. That's
Okay.
what your property was valued at when you bought it. So you had some equity in there. The
Mhm.
tax assessor, even though you bought it at 180,000, the tax assessor estimated the value at 196,000 as being the market value. Now, let's see if they put it in the 2023. No, they did not. Okay,
No, I was gonna
let's see
say,
if we
let's
could
see.
pull up the tax bill for that 2023. See, more information. Nah. So we're not getting all that information. So let's just go by if they were using the same tax ratio today as they did in 1999, what's your property's value is estimated at if they're using that 91.39 ratio still. So if it's assessed at $270,000 today, you divide it by 91.39%.
Mm-hmm.
That's 295. Oh wait, 91.39, not percent. Jesus Christ. Sorry, $270,000 divided by 91.39, and then times that by 100. So it's estimated to be $295,437 today.
Mm.
If they're using that third 91.39 tax ratio still.
Right.
Which I'm sure it's changed since 1999. That's a
Yeah, I
long
would think so. Yeah.
time.
Okay.
So without the current tax ratio, I couldn't tell you what the property's worth. I need the current tax ratio.
Okay.
And then we could do some reverse engineering.
Okay.
And you could get that if it's not in the tax records, you may be able to get it from your town's tax or your town or counties, there should be a list actually for each town, what the tax ratio is in each town.
Yeah, I would think so.
So
Okay.
if you could find what the ratio is in your town for this year, you could do some reverse engineering like that to figure out what your property's market value is, at least in the eyes of the tax man. You take
Okay.
the assessed value, the current assessed value of 270, which it looks like they had it at that same assessed value since 2017. You know, their assessed value has not changed in all these years there. But in 2016, they actually dropped it because they had it at, wow, the land, the improvement, and the total was assessed at 305. They were overtaxing you without
Yeah,
a,
we did go through, I forgot what we went through with that they were.
yeah, I could see that.
Yep.
And then you had it drop there significantly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Kelly, you want me to do a search for you?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Let me start that recording back up again. Okay, so the what is a short sale? So using your tax records, you could see if somebody's what they paid for a property versus, and then do as a property valuation today to see how much somebody's home is worth. And if they owe more on the house than it's currently worth, or what they bought it for, they're going to be selling it at a loss. But if they currently owe, they still owe on their mortgage, what's outstanding is more than what the house is worth if they tried to sell it today. That'll
Gotcha.
be a short sale situation because there's no way you're going to sell the property and be able to get enough money from the proceeds of that sale to pay off the loan, to pay back the loan. So you're essentially going to be shortchanging the bank if you do that. So you'd have to negotiate with the bank to get them to accept that. And you could just show them the hardship is basically I have to sell for whatever my reason is here. And the property value is not there sufficient enough to pay you back everything. So that situation is called a short sale. And you'd need a real estate agent involved in that to help negotiate that with your bank. But they would accept it because even if they had to foreclose on you because you stopped making mortgage payments, how much are they going to get? Whatever the current market value is. But you'd need to have a real estate agent involved in that as a intermediary, so the bank doesn't think you're just trying to take advantage and pull one over them. So you get a real estate agent like me involved, and I could help negotiate with your bank. You'll give me permission to you give me an authorization letter to communicate with your lender, and I will communicate with them and negotiate with them to accept whatever current market author prices that we get. Then I also negotiate with your lender to get them to pay your attorney fee. I also negotiate with them to pay my commission. I also negotiate with them to be, depending on where you got the funds from, or the bank got the funds from to fund the loan for your house purchase. Depending on where they got those funds from, there may be money available that I can get for you as the home seller to work with the bank to do the short sale to try to get the sale done. So I may be able to get you some money to relocate.
Okay.
A couple $1,000. All right, so that's basically what a short sale is. Which, by the way, in declining markets, those short sales become popular. So if you know how to do them, you can make a killing. Because the homeowner, you don't need to really negotiate in what you're charging them on commission. I tell them, what do you care? You're not paying the commission. I'm going to negotiate with your bank to pay it for me, to pay it for you. I'm also going to get them to pay your attorney's fee. I'm also going to get them to give you a couple of grand to work with them so you can find a place to relocate and get out of here. Are you going to argue if I could do all that for you? No, you're going to be thanking me that you're not getting foreclosed.
Yeah.
All right. Now the tax appeal. So using those numbers that we went, let's go over a couple math problems here. The tax assessors allowed that 15% margin of error. The tax rates are used to determine the amount of taxes that are to be paid. If there's an equalization factor, you factor that in first and you times it by the assessed value. Now, in this case, there is no equalization factor, so we're just going to take the assessed value and times it by the tax rate. That gives you your property taxes. In this example, in a tax record, it shows the assessed value for one of my neighbors. This was a couple of years ago. Their assessed value is shown at $133,000. You divide it by $1,000 if the problem was telling you to, and you could see that it's per $1,000. If that problem told you per $1,000 of value, you'd be paying whatever the tax rate is. And if the mill rate is $23.01 per $1,000 of value, you times it by that, and that tells you how much you'd be paying in the property taxes. If it was per $100 of value, well, then you do 133,000 divided by 100, then multiply that by 2301 or whatever the mill rate is per $100 of value. Anyway, let's skip that one for now. Go to some other examples here using the same property. So here's a question. The tax ratios are used to reverse engineer and figure out what the true market value is that the tax man's using on your property, like we just did for your guys' properties. So you take the assessed value, divide it by the tax ratio if provided, and then multiply it by 100. Okay, so if the assessed value in the tax records is listed at $133,000 and the ratio is listed at 40.37, that gives you $3,294.52. Times it by 100, and this is the market value that the property is at. Now, this was one of my neighbors just a couple of years ago, but that property, that I'm using in this example, they actually just sold last year. Sold for over $600,000 now.
Oh.
Shows you how crazy the market is. The market is right now. Okay, here's a question from question number 5 from the end of this chapter. A house is valued at $120,000. It's assessed for 80% of its value. The tax rate is $26.34 per $1,000 of value. How much is the property tax bill? Go. Figure it out. So if the house is valued at $120,000 and it's assessed at 80% of its value, the tax rate is $26.34 per $1,000 of value. How much is the property tax bill? Well, what value do we use to figure out taxes? Market value or assessed value?
Assessed.
Assessed value. So you guys are going to need to figure out what the assessed value, because the 120,000 is the market value in this example. But they tell you it's assessed at 80% of its value. So 120,000 times 80% is you can use a calculator.
Yep.
What is that? Trying to walk you guys through it. Type in your calculator, 120,000 times 80%. What value does that give you? You know, you got a calculator on your cell phone if you need it.
If that's what I'm looking for now, I got it.
So 120,000 divided by
Times
oh
percent. 120,000 times 80%.
96,000.
So the assessed value is 96,000 then. So now if the tax rate is $23.34 per $1,000 of value, how many thousands are there in 96,000?
$96.
96. So now just take 96 times $26.34.
It would be B.
$2,528.64. And this is how we came out with it.
Ah,
And my calculator says different. I guess, it just rounded it off.
What do you have?
Yeah.
An apple?
It says $2,530, and it's actually 2 million. I don't know where I got this number from. It
Let's-
looks similar. But
Well, try typing it in again like this: 120,000 times 80%. Make sure you
Yeah.
hit the percent button.
I got it. Oh, I timed by 1,000. That's where I messed up.
Okay. And then you get 96,000, then you divide that by 1,000. Or you could just do this. You could just cross out 3 zeros. If it's per thousand, cross out 3 zeros and boom, 96. Then
Yeah, I got
96 times the mill rate.
I just want to snap a picture of this.
yeah, because, oh,
This is,
I'm way off.
it makes a lot of sense, but to do a problem on my own, I would forget the steps.
Yep.
I got to really
Uh-huh.
make up some numbers and make my own problem later and do it by myself. Ah, goodness.
All right.
Thank you.
Do another one.
Mm,
Here's question 9 from the 13th version of this book. I don't think you got this question in your book. It says, what is the annual real estate tax on a property that's valued at $135,000 and assessed for tax purposes at $47,250 with an equalization factor of 125% when the tax rate is $250 per $100? All right, take a breath. Don't hyperventilate.
ooh,
What's the question asking of us? What does it want to know?
what is the annual
What is the annual real estate
real estate
tax?
tax on this property?
Okay, so taxes are based on what? The assessed value. It says the actual value is 135, but assessed value is 47,250. So we're not using the 135, we're using this number. But remember, when there's an equalization factor involved, you have to factor that in first. So take 47,250 times it by 125%, and you get
$5,312.
And if the tax rate is $250 per $100, so then you're going to divide that number by 100, and then times it by $2.50. So assessed value of 47,250 times 125% gets you an equalized factor that actually jacks up the assessed value a little bit. Then you divide that by the mill by 100, because that's what the example says to do. And then you take that dollar amount and times it by the mill tax rate of $2.50 per $100 of value. And the taxes would be $1,476.56.
Okay.
Okay, let's pull up another one. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not just yet at this time. Okay, so let's see. Here's the real estate taxes as valued for tax purposes by the owner of the property. When talking about values and taxes, the owner looks at their property like this, and the tax man looks at it like this. Let me try to resize that in a little bit. Okay. That's about right. I mean, when an owner's selling their house, they look at it's flipped. The owner looks at their house like that. But when it comes to taxing and how much you pay in taxes, the owner looks at their property like this, not like that, right? So tax liens. Taxes become a lien on your property as of January 1st when the taxes are due. However, you don't have to pay your taxes for the whole year at the beginning of the year. They bill you quarterly, 4 times a year, every 3 months. And if you don't pay your taxes at the end of the year, you start incurring late fees and penalties. 6 months after the end of the year, the tax man's required to schedule a tax auction. So we call that a tax sale. Now, the winner at these auctions, they don't get your property. They just get a certificate that says that they owe you money because you paid their taxes. But if they don't pay that money back plus the interest within 2 years, then you could get their property by foreclosing on them through the courts. So when taxes are unpaid 6 months after the end of the year, this is what that says, basically, right there. Now, the right of redemption, let's highlight this stuff. This is on page 137. The purchaser at that tax auction receives that tax sale certificate that just says that that homeowner now owes you that money that you paid in their property taxes, plus whatever interest rate you won it at, and what date that they have to pay you back by. They got 2 years to pay you back. Otherwise, you could foreclose on them and then become the owner. So if you go to one of these auctions and you pay somebody's property taxes, don't go to the house now, walking on the property, peeking in the windows, trying to get in the house, okay? Because they're going to call the homeowners who live in there. They're going to call the cops on you, and you're going to get arrested for trespassing, okay, or being a peeping tom. So make sure you don't do that. You didn't get the property because you won the auction. It's not that kind of auction where you get the property right afterwards. So the redemption period is 2 years for private parties that invest at these auctions. If the municipality were the purchaser of that tax certificate, then it would be 6 months that the homeowner has to pay them back. Now, the holder of a certificate may obtain clear title through the legal process of foreclosure anytime within 20 years if they don't pay them back, if they don't pay you back within that 2 years after the auction. That means it wipes out all other liens. If you foreclose, you wipe out all other liens, including a first mortgage. You get that property free and clear just for whatever you paid in the property taxes. Not a bad deal. It's better than fixing and flipping houses where you need a couple $100,000 to buy a house, then some more money to put into it, and then hopefully you'll make a couple bucks out of the deal at the end of the day. So if the municipality forecloses, it's on a tax sale certificate, it's through judicial foreclosure before a court called an in rem proceeding. So what do we call that special court proceeding reserved for municipalities to foreclose due to non-payment of taxes? In rem. How long does a private investor have, does an owner have to pay back a private investor if they purchase a certificate at a tax auction?
2 years.
2 years. 2 years.
Excuse me.
Now let me give you some resources. You guys got these highlights down?
Yes.
Yes.
So here's my slide that explains this straight out. If you want to snap picture this one. Taxes go unpaid for more than 6 months after the end of the year. Tax collectors required to schedule a tax auction. Must be posted in at least 5 places within the municipality and in a local newspaper for 4 weeks. The winner at an auction gets to pay the owner's full taxes that are outstanding. The auction bidder must have all of the money, and they're only bidding on the interest rate, not how much they're going to pay, but the interest rate they're going to charge the homeowner to pay them back. Whoever bids the lowest wins the auction. So if you're the only bidder and your bids go unchallenged, you're the only bidder, you get to pay their taxes and you get it at 18%. Pretty good. So the winner then gets a tax lien certificate that says that the owner owes you X amount of dollars at 18%, and they got 2 years to pay you back. If they don't pay you back in full by then, you can foreclose on them and get that property free and clear for whatever you paid in their taxes. Now, don't start investing in this and doing this if you've got a soft heart, okay? If you're too
Mm.
soft-hearted, because that person, you know, they're going to come, oh, don't foreclose, don't kick us out, because remember, you still got to remove these people. Oh, don't kick us out, don't remove us, you know, we'll pay you back, you know. They didn't pay the city. What makes you think they're going to pay you? They didn't pay you for the last 2 years. You know, if they ask you now to rent it to them, you know, sometimes people are like, okay, well, then I'll just rent it to them. Well, if they weren't paying their taxes, what the hell makes you think they're going to pay you rent?
Yeah.
Now you're going to be stuck with a deadbeat in there that you got to get out. And now you're going to get pulled down and dragged into their financial woes. You know, so I don't suggest that you do this. If you can't treat it like a business because you're too soft-hearted, then do not get involved in that business of tax investing.
Mm.
Okay. Because I've seen people that are soft-hearted like that. They tried to be sweethearts and they got screwed over big time. And they got their finances destroyed because of a deadbeat who dragged them down, tried pulling on their heartstrings.
Mm-hmm.
So the right of redemption is that time in which that owner has to pay them back. Okay, for private investors, it's 2 years. For the municipality, it's 6 months. The owner has to pay them back all that money, plus the interest rate, plus reasonable legal cost and filing fees, if any. The investor then can foreclose anytime within 20 years. I would not wait 20 years because who's going to pay taxes next year? In rem is a court proceeding that's reserved for municipalities to foreclose due to non-payment of taxes. And if you want to see some municipalities in New Jersey that do this online, at least through this company's software, there's a couple hundred municipalities in New Jersey that use this software company. This is a software company, realauction.com. And here's a link directly to their client list, which is their client list is a bunch of municipalities within the state of New Jersey. So let me first copy that tax auction list over to our ClassLinks Word document. All right. And now we can click on this and we can take a look. And this takes you to their client lists. It used to be that you could just take a shortcut directly to it. It takes you to their foreclosure software. You're going to have to then click on their real tax lien software. And now you can see the states that use it. Let's filter it out to New Jersey. And we won't even put in a particular municipality. We'll just submit and we'll see all of them. So there's 250 out of 500 and something municipalities in the state of New Jersey. There are 250 of them that use this software company's software to conduct their auctions online. So you could see their websites that they create. So this one, look at this. Here's one in Absecon in Atlantic County that opens on February 20th coming up. You know, if you don't see anything saying that it's open, it's opening, or it's opened now, there's probably nothing there.
Okay.
Like here, let's just click on Bernard's in Somerset. If you look at items for sale, there's nothing there yet because they don't have an auction schedule right now. This is all you get. And then you could go in to see what their bidding rules are for their town, how the certificate process works, and you can get training on how to do these auctions online there. Each town may have their own specific way to do it and go about it. So here's one, 216 in Camden, Cumberland, you know. And if you don't see the towns that you want to invest in listed here, then contact their city tax department and ask them, how do they conduct their tax sales? Because you want to get on their list there or have access to their website and their data. So you got to contact each city. Every municipality in the United States does this. They have these tax sales. This is that stuff that you used to see commercials late at night. You'd get these guys on TV that'd be like, I'm going to show you how you can invest and become a millionaire in real estate in a short period of time. I'm going to show you how for pennies on the dollar, you could get this house. And I'm going to show you my secret system. And all municipalities in the United States do this. So I'm going to show you how you could get into this house free and clear for as little as $300, you know, and like, this guy sells you some kind of a system, for like $2,000. This is the stuff that I'm training you how to do now as part of this class. Okay, here's one Lacey in Ocean. They already conducted their auction December 26th. That's already passed now since we're in January. So you should be able to still see some items that they had previewed for sale here. They had their tax auction already. Some properties may have been pulled from the auction block. They're saying unavailable. Others were active. Not all these properties may have actually sold at auction, though. Let's take a look. By the way, look at the amounts. Who's got a property tax? It's only $560. Well, you got to look at what the charge type is. There's different codes here. T could be trash or it could be for taxes. And then you have WS, that could be water and sanitation. So if your water bill and your sewer bill, perhaps, are municipal, then you could actually get foreclosed on that. If you don't pay your water or sewer bill and it's a municipal bill, it's a municipal tax, it could be collected at a tax sale. So this person didn't pay $560. I'm guessing that's their water and sewer bill that went unpaid. And if we click on that auction, we could see the address of the property. You could pull up a map where this property is located, zoom in on it, check that property out in a little more detail. Wow, look at this property. This is right where the water is. They got their own boat dock in Lacey Township. Yeah, that's expensive stuff right there, my friends.
Are you showing us something? Because I just see the slide.
Yes, sorry.
Me too.
I clicked on the
Oh,
auction.
okay.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me back out of this. So I clicked on the auction site for Lacey. Okay, I did this
Okay.
search. Okay, I went to her. Let's go to this again. I clicked on that tax auction and it took you to the client list.
Yep.
Let me back out if you weren't seeing all that. You guys see it now though, the website
Yep.
Real Auction? So then you got to click on Real Tax Auction because it just takes you to Real Foreclose. And they have these different software and their client list. You got to go to the Real Tax Auction one, Real Tax Lien, that's their software. And then filter it out to New Jersey. Select New Jersey. And then that's all I did. And then you can see that New Jersey has 250 municipalities that use their software for doing their tax auctions. But we have like 560 something municipalities in the state. So you got to find out from the other ones, if they're not listed here, that you want to invest in, where they, what software or what website, or how do you get on their list to learn about their tax auctions. So I went to Lacey. So let me see. I think I went 1 or 2 pages down here. We got to Lacey Township. Where is that? Gloucester, Hazlitt. There we go. Lacey. This one was open and conducted on 12/26. So like if it's not open, you just go to one of these other ones like Lakewood here. And you click on items for sale, you're not going to see anything because there was no auction. Okay, there's nothing scheduled yet. You got to wait till their auctions are scheduled. But they do have the website, and you could check out, their training, their tax certificate process, and how they work it in their town. So going back to here, we clicked on Lacey, the Lacey Ocean County, previewed the items for sale. And you can see that there's some items here that are only $560, this one. And you can see the charge type. There's codes here. T, that could be taxes. WS, that could be water and sewer.
Mm,
So this person probably didn't pay their water and sewer bill $560. So yeah, you could get foreclosed on for that if your water bill and your sewer is not supplied by New Jersey Water, but instead by it has the town name on your bill, then that's municipal water and sewer, and it could be foreclosed on due to a tax sale if you don't pay that bill. So if I click on here to get the auction information for this particular property, we could see 560, we could see the address of the property, and then we could pull up the map. And you could see this is not one of the properties that are on the shore. They're on a peninsula here. So this is where they got the boats come in, you know, off the ocean. Okay. So here's the ocean over here. You're coming in. The water comes in here, and then you pull in here, and then you got your property right there off the ocean. You could get your look at this guy got docks right in his backyard. You see people got the boats and you got the docks right in the backyard there. That's some expensive property. So let's see what the total charges are for this. Yeah, it's water and sewer. So they have a water and sewer bill cost, and it comes up to 560. Okay. Let's see the certificate history. There was no sale here. There were no prior sales, bid distribution. Yeah, but somebody did pay this taxes because you could see it was sold. So somebody bought the tax at the tax auction. Somebody paid for this, and I would too. For $560 that somebody didn't pay that bill. Now, if they don't pay that $560 back within 2 years plus interest, that winner at that auction can get this house free and clear for $560.
Oh my God.
Could you imagine losing this beautiful house with your own dock right on the ocean on the Jersey Shore? It's probably a very expensive house for $560.
Yeah.
So I wonder what's going on there.
Whoa.
That's interesting. But if we click on this qualifier, it should pull up a tax record. Yes, I understand. They can do that anyway. Yes. Okay, so this takes you to the Ocean Board of Taxes, and then you have to search this property by lot and block number. Let's see, the lot number was 25. 25, and the block number was what? 101.05. 101.5. Let's just do a search based on that. That shows us the Polaris Court. That's the property. See if we can find some details about this property. 75 by 100 lot, built in 1983. Last year's taxes were only $6,500, right on the ocean there like that. And Lacey. Land value, improvement value. So the official name is Forked River. Land value, improvement value, net value. It's a ranch style house. Yes, we saw that. Ooh, hot water. Okay, they get all kinds of details about the heating systems, the gas. It's got a bulkhead there for the dock. Okay, it's got all this information. Okay, let's see the sale history. 2007, this people bought it. Seller had a P.O. box. The grantee is the buyer. This was their previous address. Maybe it's still their address and this is their summer home. Who knows? They bought it for only $352,000. Wow. Down in Lacey, huh? Check that out. Anyway, this is how you can do the research and see about bidding on which house you want to bid on. You know, it used to be that they used to have this tax system set up a little better, that when you click on it, it took you directly to the tax record for that property. But now you got to just type in, do a little more work and research. But that's basically the gist of how it works. So you can go look at all these. You know, a lot of these are basically people didn't pay for their water and sewage bill. This guy, T, that's taxes. Only $848 that they didn't pay. What's up with that? Tax map. Let's look where they're located. By some baseball fields somewhere. Doesn't look like they're by the water, right?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
No.
they're a little bit further inland, but they're not that far from the beach. All right, their total charges, property tax, cost of sale. So they bought a property, they didn't pay the taxes on it. Part of the taxes, because you know their taxes are more than 768 bucks or 848. There was no previous sales. Somebody bought this at auction though. Boom.
Mm. Uh-huh.
I would too. I'd pay
Yep.
$800 at auction for that property, or $671 for this one. No, this is a place that looks like to be bidding on properties. You can get beachfront, oceanfront property right there.
Mhm.
Pretty cheap. Lacey Lodge. BPO. That's that's not Elks. Who is that? BPO. Who is that? What lodge is that? Anyway, they paid their stuff, so you got caught up. This guy, he's dead, so this is an estate. $3,900. Active. Did somebody bid it? Yeah, somebody bought it for $3,900. Especially you see it's an estate there. You don't know if there's any family that's going to be paying that or in charge of that. Oh, look at this one, right on a wide waterfront. He's right there. Looks like at a pretty good location. Yep, where the water comes in, comes all the way around. Oh, yeah, he's got a nice location there. There's the Lacey Elks Lodge. He's right there. Look at this beautiful big house. Couple in from that. They got their docks here that raise out of the water, lift their boats out of the water. These are some expensive homes here now. I don't know why these things are showing low prices like that, because this is some expensive area. Forked River, though. Let me see. Maybe Forked River is cheaper for some reason. I got to start looking in Forked River, maybe.
Yeah.
Jeez, nice shore house, right?
Oh, yeah.
Get out of overpriced Linden, where the crime is going through the roof and the taxes are going up. Okay,
Yeah.
so look at this. Property taxes that went are unpaid. Then cost of sale, water and sewer bill for grand total $3,900. Shoot, I'd pay $3,900 and invest and hope this guy don't pay me back so I could foreclose on it in 2 years. Get that house for $3,900. Can you imagine?
Good
You'd probably
night.
pay more for the attorney to do the foreclosure for you so that you don't have to bother doing it. You know, pay the attorney $5,000 and be done with it. Pretty good way to invest. Okay. Spent enough time on that, but I was showing you guys because people tend to be interested in this stuff.
Yep, love it.
All right. Now, income tax. Oh, by the way, so let me just share that with you again. If you did not get it, you go to that realauction.com client list. Make sure you go to the tax auctions section. Yeah. I'll share that with you. So you guys can take a peek, see, look at it there for yourselves, maybe invest a little bit in that. Now, here's a question you always get on exams. That was plural. Even though we have to refer queries to people's accountants and tax professionals when they ask us about tax advice and how this would affect their particular tax situation, we know both the federal and state government have property tax exclusions from, or the government has exclusions from capital gains tax. That's income tax from the profit of the sale of someone's primary residence. So basically, if you buy your property and you sell it at a profit, if you lived in that property for 2 out of the last 5 years before you sell it, if you're single and you net $250,000 profit on the sale, you pay 0 state or federal income taxes on the profit of that sale.
Wait.
If you're a married couple that file your taxes jointly, you could net up to $500,000 in profit on that sale and pay 0 income tax on that $500,000. So basically, if you bought your property for 500,000 and now it's worth $1 million, and you sell it for $1 million, and you lived in it for at least 2 years, you're gaining $500,000 profit. So if you're a married couple and you file your taxes together, you pay 0 state or federal income taxes on that $500,000 profit. Single filers, whether you're married and filing separate or if you're single, you can get up to a $250,000 capital gains tax exclusion on the sale of your primary residence, provided that you lived in it for 2 out of the last 5 years before the sale.
Mm.
If you sell it before that, living in it for less than 2 out of the last 5 years, the IRS may still allow you to take the deductions if you're forced to sell the property due to some sort of a hardship, which the IRS classifies as a job loss or transfer, health reasons, death, divorce, or multiple births. Those are hardships. Okay, so let's highlight this on page 138 because it will be on exam. That both the state and federal taxes offer for married couples filing taxes jointly a $500,000 capital gains tax exclusion and $250,000 for single filers. And you can reuse this as often as every 2 years, as long as you lived in that house for at least 2 years. So basically, if you got it in you, you could buy a new house every 2 years. You know, you buy a house, fix it up, live in it, get it to appreciate in value, buy another house, move into that one, rent out the current one until the value appreciates enough, or just sell it outright as long as you lived in it as your primary residence at least 2 out of the last 5 years, and you sell that property, you pay nothing in capital gains tax, no income tax on it, profit. Excuse me.
Oh, bless you.
All right. You guys got that?
I'm good.
All right.
I'm good as
Yep.
well.
Now, first-time home buyers, they could take penalty-free withdrawals from their retirement plans, their IRAs or 401ks or whatnot. Make sure you do this through your tax professional make sure that you do it properly. And you could take out up to $10,000 to use it as your down payment or closing cost on your first home. So you could take penalty-free withdrawals from your retirement plan of up to $10,000, but you do need to pay it back to your retirement plan plus interest, but you're only paying yourself back. That's your money, right? Your retirement plan is your money. But if you ever tried thinking about taking money out of your retirement plan, don't. They kill you in taxes, early withdrawal fees, taxes, and penalties for taking it out before retirement age. You'll get less than half of that money that you try to take out.
Really? I borrow from my pension every year.
I used to do that too.
They kill you in taxes and penalties. I remember I tried taking a couple grand out one time and just withdrawing it, and I got less than half of the money I tried to withdraw. I was like, yo, what the hell? Where's the rest of it? And they're like, early withdrawal fee, taxes, and penalties.
Oh, I didn't see any of that.
I was like, son of a... if I knew that, I wouldn't have touched it. See, what you probably did is you probably took a loan against it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's different.
Okay.
I tried taking the money directly out of my retirement plan.
Oh, okay.
You took a loan against it. That's different. That money's still in your retirement plan and hasn't been touched.
Yep.
All right. So you guys got those notes highlighted?
Yes.
That can help you out too. Maybe if you got a first-time home buyer and they don't got the money or something, and they need money from somehow, and there's no family or anything like that, and they got a retirement plan, that they could touch that. If you cannot negotiate the seller to contribute, because that's another way to do it too. Have them not touch their own money and just get the seller to pay some of that. And it really depends on the current market you're in, you know, is it a buyer's market or a seller's market, you know, what you can negotiate. And that's the end of this chapter. Let's do the key terms to review on your taxes.
Okay.
There's one of them. Tax set according to value.
Ad valorem tax.
It is. One is A. Ad valorem means according to value. Estimate based on probable sales price.
Full value assessment.
Full value assessment. 5 is B.
Okay.
A value used for taxation purposes.
Assessed value.
Assessed value. Correct. 2 is C. Adjust for assessment variations. What does the adjustment for assessment variations of various areas throughout the state?
Equalization factor.
The equalization factor. 4 is D. A list of all taxable. What do we call that list of all the taxable properties in the municipality?
Wait, what was that? Where are we?
What do we call the list of all taxable properties in a municipality?
Assessment roll?
It's an assessment roll.
That
3
roll
is
doesn't
E.
sound.
Yeah, the assessment roll. 3 is E. A time in which a foreclosed owner can regain their property.
Redemption period.
8 is F, the redemption period. Collection of overdue taxes through public auction of property.
Oh, that's the tax sale.
That's a tax sale. 13 is G. A taxable property.
Right?
What do we call a taxable property?
Rateable.
It's a rateable.
Okay.
7 is H. A reassessment of all the municipalities' ratables, where the city sends out an appraiser to go into everybody's house to try to reassess the values.
Reevaluation.
It's revaluation. 9 is I. Tax only on property directly benefiting from an improvement.
Special assessment.
10 is J, the special assessment. 1/1000th of a dollar or 1/10 of a cent.
Mill.
The mill. 6 is
mill.
K. Municipality's financial claim against real property.
Tax lien?
It's a tax lien. 12 is L. Seizing of property for unpaid taxes.
Foreclosure.
Tax foreclosure. 11 is M. And that concludes chapter 8. So next up, chapter 9.
Okay.
So